When we talk about Finland's incredible education system, we usually dive straight into test scores, right? All the data and rankings. But today, we're going to do something different. We're going to understand it through a much more powerful lens, a personal story. And it all starts, of all places, deep in a forest.
So I want you to imagine this. You're driving, way up north in Finland. The cities are long gone and you've ended up in North Karelia. It's beautiful, it's quiet, it's remote, and it's right here, in this tiny village tucked away in the trees, that our story really begins.
And we're going to see this whole system through the eyes of one person, Cindy. She's a public health nurse, and she's going to be our guide. She'll walk us through her family's everyday life and show us why she puts so much faith in her local school, and also why she has these quiet, nagging worries.
This is her daughter Aino's school. And as you can see, it's not some huge, fancy building. It's called Kilakolu, just a simple yellow wooden schoolhouse that's really the heart of their community. But for Cindy's family, what happens inside this little building is, well, it's nothing short of revolutionary. Okay, so let's break it down. First up, the cost. How much does Cindy pay for her daughter's tuition? Zero, not a single euro. Because here, education isn't something you buy, it's considered a fundamental right for everyone.
And what about all the books and supplies? Pencils, notebooks, you name it. That's also zero. The school provides every single thing a child needs to learn, so no kid ever starts out behind.
And then there's this, and it might be the most important part. Cindy pays €0 for a hot meal for her daughter every single day. Just think about that for a second. A meal planned by a nutritionist, like salmon soup, is just part of the school day. This isn't just about a free lunch. It's a huge statement that a kid's well-being is the absolute foundation for their education. Cindy's mother, she remembers having the ski miles to a drafty old canteen when she was a kid. So she has a pretty funny name for all this support her grandkids get. She jokingly calls it luxury communism. It's a great line, but it really gets at just how radically things have changed in only one generation.
So you have to be asking, how is all of this even possible? Cindy's experience isn't just some happy accident happening in one little village. It's the result of a system that was built on some very clear, very deliberate principles. So let's zoom out and take a look at what's holding this whole thing up.
It really all comes down to three incredibly strong pillars. First, you've got these highly trained teachers. They all need a master's degree, and they're treated like true professionals who have autonomy in their own classrooms. Second, you have those amazing welfare supports we just talked about. The meals, the supplies, making sure every kid can actually focus on learning. And finally, and this one is absolutely crucial, there's a deep shared agreement, politically and socially. For decades, pretty much everyone has agreed. This is a national priority.
But this system built on trust didn't just pop up out of nowhere. To really get it, you have to understand what it replaced. You have to see the system that Celini's father grew up in, which was built on something completely different: fear.
Just listen to this memory from Cindy's father. Can you imagine being 11 years old and having to take one single test that decides your entire future? For him, and for every other kid in his village, it was a test they were basically set up to fail. It just locked them out of any real opportunity.
And wow, when you put the two systems side by side like this, the change is just staggering. Look at the feeling of it all. It went from a culture of fear and a sense of fixed destiny to one of trust and a sense of shared opportunity. This wasn't just some small policy change. It was a complete rewiring of the national mindset. At the end of the day, that was the biggest thing. The reform that built the system we see today wasn't just about moving pieces around. It was a conscious national decision to replace a culture of anxiety and competition with one built on trust. Trust in the teachers, trust in the students, and trust in the community to support them all.
But look, no system is perfect, right? And even in Finland, new challenges are starting to bubble to the surface. Cindy's story isn't just about pride in the system. It's also about these subtle modern worries that are starting to test the very foundations of that trust.
So here's the first real tension they're facing. The focus on well-being and making sure everyone succeeds is amazing. But it brings up a tough question. If you take away all the high-stakes competition, do you accidentally take away the drive to really excel? It's this tricky balance between making sure nobody fails and pushing everyone to be their absolute best.
Next, you have that core value, trust. But what happens when that trust smacks up against modern life? Cindy herself talks about this, worrying about her son Laurie staying up late gaming. She trusts his teachers completely, but she also feels this new pressure of digital distraction, of screen time,
a challenge this system just wasn't designed for.
And finally, there's this tension that really gets to the heart of the whole Finnish philosophy. The system is famous for protecting childhood. There's not much homework, school days end early, so kids can just be kids, play in the forest, see their friends. But parents like Sini look at the rest of the world and they see this educational arms race, and they can't help but ask, is this wonderful, slow childhood really enough to prepare our kids for a super fast, super competitive world?
So how do you make sense of all this? The pride, the history, the incredible success, and now these new anxieties? Well, Sireni gives us this beautiful, really powerful metaphor that I think perfectly captures the entire Finnish system.
She says the education system is like a long wooden table. It's a shared project where everyone gets a seat and everyone is served the same good meal. It stands on those 3 strong legs we talked about: teacher autonomy, welfare, and consensus. And it's people like her, citizens, who keep it polished with their taxes and their votes. But then she adds this really crucial warning: wood can warp. The table is strong, but it's not indestructible.
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Sini's story is this incredible testament to a system built on a foundation of quiet, communal trust. But as the world gets louder, with all the digital noise and global pressures, how does a system like that adapt without losing the very quiet, trusting soul that makes it so special?